how quickly they forget. Right? How quickly they forget. As the Pope would say, no Clark, no spark. Caitlin Clark is now 2 years removed from women's college basketball. Out of sight, out of mind, women's college basketball now is. Out of sight, out of...
The head coach of UCLA women's basketball just spoke the truth that nobody else would. After coaching the only ranked matchup of the day, only a single media member showed up to ask questions. She openly criticized the entire sports media industry for abandoning women's college basketball the moment Caitlin Clark left for the WNBA. The reality is hard to ignore. 2 years ago, when Clark was sinking logo threes at Iowa, ESPN couldn't stop covering women's college basketball with studio shows, daily segments, and wall-to-wall attention. But by January 2025, Corey Close found herself standing in an empty media room, wondering where all the coverage had gone. The answer is uncomfortable, but undeniable.
Clark never existed for the casual fan. We are back to those levels of not caring about women's college basketball. Folks, I didn't care about women's college basketball until I heard of Caitlin Clark. Guilty as charged. And I didn't care. ESPN didn't care. Fox Sports didn't care. Independent media didn't care. Random podcasters didn't care. They just didn't care. And now that she's no longer in college basketball.
For the casual fan, Caitlin Clark was the reason women's college basketball even mattered. Before her rise, most people, including myself, didn't pay attention. ESPN didn't care. Fox Sports didn't care. Independent media didn't care. And random podcasters didn't care. But Clark changed everything. By the time she reached her junior year at Iowa, casual fans still didn't fully know the sport existed. Ratings were low, coverage was sparse, and only diehards and family members were watching. Then Clark arrived, shattered scoring records, and suddenly everyone acted like they'd been watching all along. During her senior year in 2024, Iowa's games averaged over 2 million viewers. ESPN devoted entire segments to her shot selection. Fox Sports ran daily features, and podcasters who had never mentioned women's basketball suddenly became experts. The NCAA Tournament Championship game drew 18.7 million viewers, the most watched basketball game, men's or women's, in 5 years. Now, UCLA faces a ranked opponent, and only one reporter shows up. Not because the game lacks competition, or because UCLA isn't strong, but because the player who made casual fans care is gone. And the sports media industry is finally confronting an obvious truth it should have recognized from the start.
You know, there's college football playoff, there's hockey, and there's what's that other league? Oh yeah, the NFL is taking, there's some other things that media would rather do. They saw Caitlin Clark, they saw the hype, they saw the attention, they jumped on board. You guys really bought into the fact that they cared about you. What did they say in Temptation? Nobody care about you, Otis! They're here for me! Yeah.
College football playoffs, NHL games, and the NFL are often cited as reasons for declining attention, and that's not entirely wrong. But what makes this situation revealing is that these competing events existed during Caitlin Clark's era too. The NFL was still dominating ratings in 2024. College football was still huge, and hockey was still on television. Yet, when Clark was playing, women's college basketball managed to capture an audience. The difference wasn't the competition. It was that one player was compelling enough to make people care about a sport they had previously ignored. The moment she graduated, the entire ecosystem collapsed back to pre-Clark levels. Juju Watkins at USC was supposed to be the next torchbearer, but she got injured. Paige Bickers was meant to carry the momentum after being drafted, but she's now in the WNBA. Her situation, which we'll discuss shortly, is equally revealing about how the industry treats women's basketball.
Vignettes talking about these players like there were 2-3 years ago? I haven't seen it. Caitlin Clark, she hit first take. They were talking about Caitlin Clark on ESPN every day when she was at Iowa. Caitlin Clark and Lisa Bluter, Caitlin Clark in Iowa, Caitlin Clark. And now she's gone, and now there's no Clark, no spark. Is anybody really watching Dawn Staley in South Carolina? No? Oh, okay. I was just asking. Shout out to...
That's the reality check right there. He's admitting what most people won't say out loud. He didn't care about women's college basketball until Caitlin Clark made it impossible to ignore. And he's far from alone. The data fully supports this. In 2022, before Clark's breakout junior season, the average women's college basketball game drew about 400,000 viewers. By her senior year in 2024, Iowa's regular season games were pulling 2 to 3 million viewers. But the crucial detail is that other teams didn't see the same spike when Iowa wasn't playing. Viewership remained largely flat. Fans weren't tuning in for women's college basketball as a whole. They were tuning in for Caitlin Clark as a phenomenon. The media recognized this. They weren't subtly captivated by the quality of the sport. They were chasing clicks, views, and engagement. Clark delivered all three, and the media covered her obsessively, creating the illusion that women's college basketball had become mainstream. In reality, it hadn't. One player had arrived, but the sport itself remained in the same place it had always been.
Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that so much. My channel, not Steven's channel. I think that you have to have a broader view of growing the game if you're going to really appreciate it, as you refer to. The reality is Caitlin Clark has risen a level of fan base that has broadened it, has deepened it, that we are all benefiting from. Close said per a December 9th Instagram post from Steven Smith's show. Let's build each other up. I think there's such a thing in that case. There's no bad publicity or exposure. No bad publicity. I mean, if you guys aren't mad at the bad publicity, then I'll cover you. I can't say I'd be too favorable.
Dawn Staley's South Carolina team is undefeated and ranked number 1. LSU under him Moy is competing at the highest level. Paige Bueckers is in her first WNBA season with the Minnesota Lynx. And FJ Johnson is one of the most marketable players in college basketball. Yet the answer to the obvious question is brutally simple. No, people aren't really watching. South Carolina's games this season are averaging about 600,000 viewers. Respectable, until you remember that Iowa drew triple that with Caitlin Clark. LSU's numbers are similar. The lack of interest isn't because these teams aren't good. South Carolina is dominant, and LSU is talented and entertaining. But dominance and talent alone didn't drive the Clark-era ratings. Star power did, and it had to be Caitlin Clark. This is where it gets uncomfortable for those who spent 2 years insisting she was simply the face of a rising tide that would lift all boats. The tide has receded. The boats are left sitting on the sand, and coaches like Corey Close are standing around wondering why the water disappeared so quickly.
And this logo, yikes. This logo, let's get to it. This logo, to me, is proof that Nike just doesn't care. This is the logo that you get when you just don't want to put in any effort. You don't want to think at all. You don't want to put in any brain power. This is what the kids would call slop. Slop. Paige Bueckers, Paige bucket. This literally looks like a bucket. Like a sand bucket. This looks like you go to Home Depot, you go to the garbage section, they got those silver Barons bucket. It looks like one of those. This looks like a tin garbage can for her logo. Oh, goodness.
That logo is a perfect metaphor for how the industry treats women's basketball. Minimal effort, maximum exploitation. Nike gave Paige Bueckers a signature logo, and it's literally a bucket, not a stylized basketball hoop, not an artistic representation of her game, just a plain paint bucket like you'd buy at Home Depot for a weekend project. This matters because it exposes the underlying problem. Nike signed Bueckers to a signature deal not out of long-term belief in her marketability, but as a reaction to the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Clark signed with Nike in 2024 for a reported 8-year, multi-million-dollar deal. And suddenly Nike felt compelled to have other women's basketball players under contract to show commitment to the sport. So they signed Bueckers, gave her a shoe line, and slapped together a logo that looks like it was designed in 15 minutes. Compare that to how Nike treats male athletes. LeBron's logo is iconic. Jordan's is the most recognizable symbol in sports. And even lesser-known male players receive thoughtfully designed branding. Buchers, meanwhile, gets a bucket. Because at the end of the day, Nike doesn't really believe she's going to move product. They're checking a box, fulfilling a quota, and moving on.
Paige is being pushed as the face of Unrivaled. Now look at the hype. Oh, it's quiet. Unrivaled starts in 7 days. They got nobody. No Caitlyn, no Sabrina, no Asia, no Angel, no Sophie. They got nobody. Oof. Nasty, nasty, nasty.
That logo is a perfect metaphor for how the industry treats women's basketball. Minimal effort, maximum exploitation. Nike gave Paige Buchers a signature logo, and it's literally a bucket, not a stylized basketball hoop, not an artistic representation of her game, just a plain paint bucket like you'd buy at Home Depot for a weekend project. This matters because it exposes the underlying problem. Nike signed Buchers to a signature deal not out of long-term belief in her marketability, but as a reaction to the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Clark signed with Nike in 2024 for a reported 8-year, multi-million-dollar deal, and suddenly Nike felt compelled to have other women's basketball players under contract to show commitment to the sport. So they signed Buchers, gave her a shoe line, and slapped together a logo that looks like it was designed in 15 minutes. Compare that to how Nike treats male athletes. LeBron's logo is iconic. Jordan's is the most recognizable symbol in sports. And even lesser-known male players receive thoughtfully designed branding. Buchers, meanwhile, gets a bucket. Because at the end of the day, Nike doesn't really believe she's going to move product. They're checking a box, fulfilling a quota, and moving on.